Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Today is the 10th, Sunday the 10th of January 2021. You know what? Time for a new start. Time for a new deal. I'm going to tell you what. History does repeat itself. We are living in a time period right now that's very, very similar to the Great Depression of the 1930s. And, even the presidential is very, very similar. We had in, back then, we had in a Republican president, Hoover. And, the country went into a terrible tailspin and Great Depression. And then we had FDR come in, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And what did he do that pulled America out of the Great Depression? The New Deal. And this is a very similar situation that we're in. I personally believe that we saw the lowest point. That we've passed it now, the lowest point. And the lowest point's pretty damn low. We got a virus ravaging through the country. We've got, I'm not even going to go over what our lowest point, where we were standing at our lowest point. But that's behind us now. We need to move forward. We need a progressive. What we really need is a New Deal. The New Deal 2.0. That's what we need. We need leadership like Franklin Delano Roosevelt had to progressively move us into work programs. People don't need a paycheck for nothing. People want to work. And, you know they're going there. You guys know they're going there. UBI, Universal Basic Income. But, the Corps of Engineers, when I was a young guy, one of the first parks, when I first come to North America here, one of the first parks that my parents went to and they stayed as they were moving into Florida with a green card, come from Canada, moving into Florida, and my father was looking for work and stuff. He stayed at a park called Juniper Springs in the Ocala National Forest in Florida. Beautiful park. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to have state parks like that were built by the Corps of Engineers. Very proud men, pride in their work, and they did a wonderful job turning that park that was once, they turned it into a paradise, to tell you the truth. They can build bridges. They can create state parks. They can work on infrastructure. They can repair the roads. And what do they need for housing? Get all these inner city people now who are going to be homeless. They don't need a big luxurious house. They don't need fantastic accommodations. But they need a home. And the answer might come to what's called tiny homes. Person doesn't need a monster house. Back a few years ago, I built a tiny home. And I'm inside it right now. I love it. I absolutely love it because it's so easy to heat. So I like my tiny home. Tiny home's a wonderful thing. It's got all the amenities of a big house. A bathroom, a little tiny kitchen, a little tiny living room, bedrooms. You don't need grandiose space. You don't need vaulted ceilings, 16-foot high ceilings, and all this kind of garbage. And for 1, 2 people, 3 people have a house that's like 8,000 square feet. Don't need it. You really only need about 200 square feet. That's all a person needs. It's a heck of a lot better than being on the street. And you know how quick the government could build subdivisions of tiny homes? If they were building tiny homes, they could prefab them. and erect them near the workplaces where they're going to have the New Deal, or new programs, where they're going to have work programs to build new bridges and build new highways. And don't let the Chinese get ahead of us on this. The Chinese build their infrastructure out. We need to do things here in America. We need to bring our factories back to America. We need to bring our businesses and our work back to America. And this is the best place to start. FDR had the right idea. Great president. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The New Deal. That's what we need. We need a New Deal. We need to structure it in a way so that everybody that wants a job will get a job. Working for the new Corps of Engineers or new infrastructure programs that the government can set in place. And what those lead to? They lead to more spin-off jobs being created. Create new factories. Let China become the consumer. And let them pay us in gold for our products and stuff. They got lots of gold over there in China, and they want products they're hungry to consume. Reverse the role. What made China great? What made China great was producing all the products and sending them over here. All we need to do here in America now is reverse that flow. And let them have a few years where they can lean back and relax and buy American-made goods. American-made everything. Become the leaders in technology. The leader in robotics. There's where we need to go. We need to go into be the leader in robotics for the world. Robotics is the wave of the future. And already, we're not the leading manufacturer of robotics, but I think we're already leading the world. Places like Boston Dynamics, we got some of the best robots engineers in the world. Why not have the best robotics factories in the world? This is the future. Robotics is the future. We should put a prize out there for the person that can invent the best synthetic muscle tissue for robots. Because motors and servos ain't going to cut it. We need the best synthetic muscle tissue in the world. Muscles is the way. A structure, a body structure on the robot that actually has and operates off of muscles, but muscles that run off of electricity. Electricity would actuate the muscles. Muscle fiber that's simulated muscle fiber. And be the world leader in AI for these robots. As this is the wave of the future. And the robots can replace workers, but then again, you have to understand that where you produce the robots, if you're the leader in this technology, it's going to create a tremendous amount of jobs. We're going to go there anyway. Why let the Chinese get ahead? This is the wave of the future. Telecommunications is the wave of the future. America should be #1 in telecommunications. It's all about restructuring. And how to restructure is we need a new great deal. A new deal. The newest New Deal, 2.0. That's what we need. We need them to get organized so that both parts of American government function as one unified body. Both sides. So that they have bipartisan support on almost every issue. So that they can push things through the House and through the Senate and be able to function. So that America can become the strongest, greatest country on earth again. This is where we need to go. And I'm speaking here from Canada. But I grew up in America. I spent my first 26 years of my life in America. And I'm going to tell you, it's the greatest country on earth. Fantastic. North America. That's counting Canada and the United States of America. We have more natural resources. We have the most smartest individuals in the world. Not just in technology, but we are smart. We are intelligent. But we've got ourselves in a pickle, guys. We've got ourselves in a pickle. And we need to get out of this pickle. We need to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. We've passed our lowest point. It's no time anymore to sit there and cry in our milk and fight with one another. You know? This is a time to reunify, restructure, and come back stronger than ever. This is the time. This is the time for America to shine. So that next Christmas, we don't sit there crying in our milk. You know? So that we can hold our heads high, we can have a proper Christmas tree, and we can have a proper Christmas next Christmas, and even the next Christmas after that even be better. We have the opportunity. We can move in one direction or we can move in the other direction. And we don't want to move in the direction where we're going to continue this downhill slide. Because it's not getting us anywhere. And the Chinese, you know, I mean, they're ready to take the reins and to take control if we continue in this downhill slide. There's nothing to, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not against the Chinese people. Are very smart, very intelligent, hardworking, diligent people. And they didn't get where they are right now sitting on their bums. They've worked hard for everything that they have right now in their country. But instead of fighting with each other, we got to get to work. We gotta get back in there and study and start to become just like a kid. If he's taking too much time and he doesn't do his studies and stuff, and he starts to get behind the schoolwork and everything else, and the grades start to go down. That's what's happening to us. We got to get over this virus. And it took me a long time to make up my mind about this, about the shots. I sat back and I watched, I observed. And I observed what the virus is doing. Did you know, I'm going to tell you guys what? This virus, 6 months after people have this virus, they're still having minor symptoms. It affects every organ in the body. But I've been sitting back, like I say, and observing these shots. And I see that I don't see I still don't see that many. I see hundreds of thousands of people a day taking it. Don't hear about many problems. But by gosh, I sure do hear a lot of problems coming from this flu. I'm not going to call the flu this COVID. I sure do hear a lot of problems. People having a lot of problems. Neurological problems. Problems getting back to where they were before they had it. They have muscle fatigue and weakness. So if it comes to me to balancing, in my mind, balance, okay, we got the shots in one hand, we got the flu, not flu, but this COVID-19 on the other hand, which one's worse? I'll tell you where I think which one's worse. By far, the COVID is much, much worse. And it wants to make itself endemic in the population. That means it wants to keep coming around every 6 months and reinfecting us over and over and over again. And every time you catch the darn thing, you stand about a certain percentage chance of dying from it. Okay, it's a small percentage. But what if it makes itself endemic and it just keeps plaguing us? The only way I see to really get rid of this thing is this shot. And I'm going to tell you what, I've been sitting back here watching. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, once I can get so that I don't have to stand in a long lineup of people that are probably coughing or might be sick. Once it gets so there's lots of shots out there and it's easy to get one, easy to find one. You don't have to stand in a long lineup or anything. I'm going to go in and roll up my sleeve. Because I don't want this darn COVID. I'd much prefer my chances with the shot than this COVID thing. And, I've been being very careful not to catch it. But you can't stay careful the rest of your life. You got to get out there in the world sooner or later and start to get around other people and more and stuff, everything. And so, yeah, I'm going to take it. But I'm waiting for my opportunity, like I say, where I could go with very little chance of actually catching the COVID and try to take the shot. But I think it's a great thing at this point, this stage in the game, because I can see hundreds of thousands of people each and every day are taking it, and there seems to be very few. I hear about very few side effects, if any, from the shot. But the COVID, people that are catching it are sick everywhere. So I'll tell you, that's the way to go, as far as I'm concerned. In this world, you got to use logic and common sense, you know. And you also, in everything you do, you have to weigh risk. I'm going to tell you, people that want to do things like people that say a person wants to skydive, say they want to skydive. Okay, I'm going to use a different illustration. To try to explain risk. I've seen so many people. I was sitting next to a person one time in an airplane, and the guy was absolutely frightened to death. All of his muscles were stiffening up and everything. He was in such a state of panic. But he's not using reason and common sense. I was sitting next to him, and I felt sorry for him and everything because he's so frightened. But there's nothing to be frightened of. Now, he's probably driven 1,000 times in a bus someplace or in a taxi cab or whatever, and he's not frightened at all. Why is he so frightened in the aircraft? Because you know what the actual law says about it? That actually aircraft travel is actually safer than taking a taxi cab or taking a bus. In reality, it's safer. But he was frightened to death. It's unreasonable, and that's the way people are a lot of times. They're unreasonable about things. They don't think things out. It's unreasonable fear. And it's not fear generated by logic. But as Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, there's nothing to fear but, or was that Teddy Roosevelt? I can't remember. Anyway, they said there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And instead of being frightened, we should all start to use our logic and start to actually take a look at the real situation out there. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And I'm going to talk more about this New Deal sort of thing, because I think it's really the way to go, because it's what pulled us out of the last Great Depression. And I don't see any reason why some sort of New Deal couldn't pull us out of this one. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.